Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce you back to Talking Numbers. It is our podcast to the financial services and accounting industry, and I'm excited to be back. You can probably tell by my voice. A few weeks ago, we introduced you to an all-new Talking Numbers Property Plus podcast series with Jay Anderson, and today we have another special edition of Talking Numbers. It's my Investment Plus series. Now, if you're new to Talking Numbers, welcome. My name is Paul Jantz, and I hope you enjoy this new series of Talking Numbers Investment Plus, where I chat to some really good people, some great people doing some great things in our professional services industry. Today's no different, and today's series, and this Investment Plus series, is brought to you by Virtual Financial, making financial advice affordable for all Australians. Now, as we kick off this series, I want to sort of give you a little bit of a preview of everything that we're going to talk about. It's a 6-part series, this first series, and we're going to be chatting everything to do with investments. So we're going to run through retirement. Are you on track? I think everyone would love to be in a position or have the choice to retire early. We're going to talk about self-managed super funds and the benefits of a SMSF, which is sometimes hard to say. We're going to talk about assets, why we protect them. We'll talk about superannuation, the different options available to super. We all start working from maybe 15, like I did, maybe 16. We get superannuation, but what's the options available to us? We'll talk about properties versus shares versus crypto. And then we'll finish off this series talking about the future and how we can plan for it. Now, I mentioned this series is brought to you by Virtual Financial. It's a fantastic company run by a fantastic CEO. His name is Adem Becirevic. Adam, welcome to Talking Numbers Investment Plus.
Thanks, Paul.
How are you, mate?
Excellent, mate. Excellent. Glad to be here.
That's good. That's good. Look, we've done a lot of things over the last few years, and I've known you for a very long time, which is fantastic. So what we're going to do is, to all of you that are listening, we hope that we can provide you with some golden nuggets along the way, especially with this 30-minute per episode series. And I'm excited to obviously bring this to you because it's about information that we want to continually share with all of you that are out there. So, Adam, I might start with you first before we kick off into our key topic, and we're going to talk about retirement today. And I think it's always a good one that we start on that one because it's a good one to ask husband and wife, I suppose, if they're on track, or if obviously if you don't have a partner, that's okay, but you can get to that. But before we start that, tell us a little bit about you. So for all our listeners out there, a little bit about you and Virtual Financial.
Oh, thanks, Paul. Well, I've got over 30 years experience. I'm a qualified CPA, but I specialise in financial advice. I've done a lot of work in tax, and I worked a lot in Melbourne over the years, moved up to Queensland, currently based in Brisbane. So my specialty is retirement planning and self-managed super to try and really help our clients grow their wealth.
Beautiful. That's a good way to sum it up, and that's probably why we're probably going to go into we're going to dig a little bit deeper and just get into a few depths. So everyone listening to this series of Investment Plus can actually use it. You can rewind it. You can share it with friends, share it with your husbands or your wives, or even to a certain point in time, kids. It's a good time to start talking about kids and savings and investments. I know I've got 3 boys. I've already started talking to them about the type of companies that they would like to invest in because we talk about those sorts of things a lot. So, but today we're going to talk about retirement. So let's get into our first episode, talking about retirement. Are you on track? So, Adam, retirement, it's an interesting word. Tell me what you think it means.
Yeah, look, Paul, it's something that is very important, especially in all of our clients. I suppose concerns they have is retirement. And for us, it really means making sure that when the client gets to, when they've stopped work, to ensure they've got enough money to enjoy the rest of their life, to have the holidays that they've always wanted to have, and to not be stressed about the future.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I think a lot of people, especially today, and you look at sort of where we are today, we've got interest rates rising, and I think there's a slight overreaction to the interest rate rising. I think there's a lot of people that haven't been through, maybe you and me being a little bit more mature. We've been through some years with some high interest rates.
Yeah.
But the cost of living is also increasing, and that's probably where concerns come into play. So again, from your point of view, so that's what retirement means. Probably the golden question from my point of view is, is it age driven? Is it asset or income driven? And probably to delve a little bit deeper and allow you to sort of share this information, how much do you need? So let's talk about age driven, income, asset driven.
Yeah, sure, Paul. Look, it's it's very interesting, and it's a question clients always ask is, how much do I need, and do I have enough assets, and no one really knows, and that's what we're here for. I mean, we invest very heavily in the best technology to actually show our clients where they are today, where they'll be at retirement, and how that all looks. So we go through not just we on on graphs on showing them where they are now and where they'll be in the future, but we also back it up with the numbers, and we show them not only how the retirement will look using their own money, but also how it will look using government money. Now, I think the biggest thing about getting advice is, we had a client last week where we could show them we could generate an extra $145,000 over a 10-year period by purely using annuities and using a strategy to get money out of the government. And the government are very good at telling the society out there, the public, don't get advice, low fees. And they do that because they know that, if everyone goes and gets advice and they can do the strategies that we implement for our clients, the government's really going to be affected. So the number one thing really is to get advice. We have the best software on the market, and we can certainly show the clients, obviously assets, matter, but a lot of people don't realise, for example, your house isn't included in your retirement. So it's a separate asset. And then there's other ways that then we're talking about, then there's other assets we can include and not include for settling purposes.
Okay, so look, I might get into the government side in a second, and even the word annuity. I'll come back to that so we can sort of break that down a little bit more. But certainly from your point of view, let's like, how much do you need when you spoke about software, but let's break that down. You're a 45-year-old male. You're married with 2 children. Is there a particular, and you spoke about lifestyle as well, so is there a particular amount that you would typically talk about to then fund that lifestyle?
Look, it's very hard to put a number on it because it depends on whether it's a single person, whether it's a couple, the lifestyle they've previously lived, like how much do they want to draw down from their super, from the government pension each year. So basically part of our process is to work through with the clients, and let's just say they are 45 and they want to have, in today's dollars, 70 grand a year in retirement. Well, we work backwards and work out exactly how much that client needs. So there's no real right figure, but I think there's a bit of perception out there that you need $2 or $3 or $4 million. Like, you don't. We have a lot of clients retiring on, $500,000 and retiring really comfortably because, if you have less than $900,000 of other assets, you're able to access government pension as well. So we're able to use their money plus their own money. So it's not as high as you think. So, and most of our clients are quite shocked when they find out, hey, they're actually on track, and they don't need to have 2 or 3 million. If they get to 700,000 or 800,000, it can really suit what they want to do. And obviously, there's a lot of strategies that go behind that. But I think the number one thing I see on most clients' faces, I had one last night where they're just so relieved to know, they're going to retire in 5 years' time. They're 55 now, want to retire at 60. And thought there was no way they could do it. But I showed them that, with using the right strategies in place, they can definitely retire at 60, and they were over the moon.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing, isn't it? When it comes to retirement, there's a bit of a peace of mind. 2, there's a little bit of a, well, what am I going to do, and am I going to be restricted with the amount of assets or the cash flow that I have? So it's an interesting one. So let's get back to, let's say, a scenario again. So look, I'm 50, I have an 86-year-old mother. What else do we need to take into consideration? And you mentioned government payments, let's say. Let's call it Centrelink. What are other things that people need to take into consideration, like Centrelink benefits?
Yeah, well, obviously, what we try and do for all of our clients is, if we can, is we try and ensure they get at least $1 of government funds. So if they do that, then they qualify for the concessional card. So it gives them discounted rates and discounted insurances and discounted travel, and obviously the big one, discounted pharmaceutical. which, when you're in your 80s and so forth, that's when you really need that help.
Yes.
Which is quite important.
Yeah, good. So you used a word before called annuity. So that's something that's probably I've heard about it, but I don't really know. So the word annuity, what is it? And how can it boost retirement savings?
Yeah, good question, Paul. I mean, annuities, I think, are fantastic. We use them all the time with our clients. To explain it as simply as possible, it's like a term deposit, but it gives you a guaranteed income stream for the rest of your life. And we use that basically with annuity. We use it for two reasons. One is to get them under the government threshold so they can get the concessional card, but two, to also generate more guaranteed income for the clients. So what we normally do with annuity is we work out what a client's fixed costs are for the year. So let's just say their car running expenses, their rates, their electricity. We work it out. It normally comes to around $20,000. So what we do is we set up an annuity for whatever figure that needs to be to ensure that they have that $20,000 come into their account every year for the rest of their life. So they know, regardless of whatever happens in the markets, they know that they're going to get that annuity paid to them every year for the rest of their life. And the best part about it, once one of the partners dies, there's a couple, it converts to the other person on death. So they know that for the rest of their life that their expenses are paid for, and it also helps us, getting concessional card and more income. Like I said before, we had a client just the other day that we generated an extra $145,000 in guaranteed income from the government and from the annuity. So the annuity and the government's both guaranteed.
Right. So is the annuity a government incentive? Is it?
No. So annuities, the ones we normally use are through Challenger.
Right.
So,
Right.
But it's virtually like a term deposit, very safe, and it's guaranteed income for life. So it's a great vehicle to use, and also for settling purposes.
Okay. Is there a minimum amount that needs to be put into that, or?
Yeah, look, you wouldn't be using an annuity unless you can cover a certain amount of costs and to have benefits, and obviously so we work all that out for our clients. But generally speaking, normally around $100,000 would be the minimum we would normally use.
Okay, so not an awful amount, a lot of money either, because to guarantee that with what you're talking about with all the other benefits, I suppose that's the bit sometimes that it's the old scenario, and I know I use this quite a lot, but it's the old what you don't know, and I think a lot of people. We started, and I've seen your marketing in particular. You talk about making financial advice affordable for all Australians. I think that's the challenge that we have, because I know a lot of people that don't go and get the advice because they can't afford it. So it's interesting, isn't it? Yet this is the sort of thing that what they don't know, they don't know.
Exactly. And the government really have done a terrible job in regards to helping people in retirement. I personally don't think it's fair. Someone's worked there 40, 50 years of their life.
Yeah.
And they don't get any help. These days you can't even go to Centrelink. You've got to make an appointment 3 months out. They want everything done online. There's just no help. And they push all their industry funds saying, use these industry funds, don't get advice. Industry funds don't do annuities. So you're not going to get that right advice. They don't go to their way to help you. Like that client I spoke about where I saved them $150,000, they were with an industry fund. That's the advice they got. So it just amazes me that people are being brainwashed by the government, by advertising that to not get advice because it might cost you $1 or $2. It doesn't make any sense. Like, if you've got something wrong with you medically, you go and see a specialist.
Absolutely,
and happy to go and pay that. You get your house done. You get an architect. You pay a specialist to do that. You don't try and work it out yourself.
No, that's exactly right. Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? Because like anything, and I think the good example you just made there was, if we feel like nowadays Google is probably a not good thing, because when it comes to doctors and those sorts of things, it doesn't help, because we've got, most people may go there, but if they've got questions and they've got again, what they don't know, they don't know. And this is the beautiful part about doing this podcast series of Talking Numbers Investment Plus, is to try and educate everybody out there to these little golden nuggets that are available to people that they don't know about. So if you are, and hopefully, no, you go, mate.
Well, all I was going to say, like, Google has all the information, but it doesn't have the strategy. You've got to remember that. So you can get all the information, but putting all the bits and pieces together, that's the key. You know, so, and that's where we come into play. We have the strategy to make sure it works.
Yeah, it's a good point, isn't it? And probably more importantly, you have the experience. It's a bit like you mentioned before, if you're going to go to a doctor because you've got some gut health issues and you need to improve your health and you need to improve that overall, well, you're going to go to a doctor because of that. And it's no different to going and seeing someone and saying, well, am I going to be financially set up for retirement, which is going to be just as important for my lifestyle, my partner's lifestyle, my children in the future? All of this comes into play. So that's why it's so important to go and see a specialist in the financial advice world.
No, it certainly is. And, you know, that's what we're trying to do at Virtual Financials, making financial advice affordable so everyone can go and get the right advice and maximise their retirement, maximise their super, maximise their investments, you know, and get advice.
Yeah, good. Mate, you spoke about other things like concessional cards before. Are there any other key things that our listeners need to be aware of if they're approaching that, 55? What is the retirement age at the moment, right? Has it changed?
Yeah, so for your own money, but with your own super and pension, you can retire at 60. So, but to get government pension, basically you need to retire at 67. So you won't get any government pension until 67. Some are 66, right, but mainly most people these days are 67. So building your retirement around, if you want to retire at 60, that's okay. But for the first 7 years, you would need to use your own money for retirement. Yes. And then at 67, then that kicks in. Concessional cards, look, obviously very important. So, as I said before, you can have up to, talking around numbers here in general advice, you can have up to roughly $900,000 of other assets on top of your house and still receive a concessional card. So if you're over that, well, then we need to work on strategies like annuities to get you back under so you can get that concessional card, because it's very important.
Right. So yes, this is where it's starting to click for me now, because what you're saying now is, again, what you don't know, you don't know. So if you're above that 900, you've got strategies that can reduce that down so that then you can take the benefits that the government are going to provide you.
Yeah, and also not only that, but also use government money, because remember, they're going to pay you once you've got to 900,000. So with that strategy we had with our client, they had 1.1 million, put them under gave them the concessional card plus 150,000 extra guaranteed money over 10 years. So they're the sort of strategies we work on with our clients to try and make sure that they maximise their government pension. And I think everyone should. I think it's kind of criminal how a lot of people out there don't know the laws, and they just hear their industry fund just say, oh yeah, just roll into a pension, draw down a pension, you'll be fine, and get nothing from the government. Just makes no sense. But unfortunately, the government's done a great job in really pushing people down the no advice path. Only 10%, interesting stat, financial advice. So there's 90% of people. That strategy I used the other day, 9 out of 10 people wouldn't do it. They just give the 150 grand back to the government. And they
So why do you think they don't do it? Because that's an incredible statistic.
Well, because they've been brainwashed. Because they think that on television, pay no fees, get no advice is the way to go. I won't mention any names, but the guy wrote a book and he said just invest in an index fund. He's got a best-selling book that tells you that, which is just crazy. But anyway, that guy that gave that advice, their index fund the other year did negative 6 or 7%, and the industry fund that he used nearly went broke, with the government having to draw down when people were able to draw down the $10,000 super twice, 20,000. That industry fund, if they didn't get bailed out by the government, would have gone broke. And that's the sort of advice these guys are giving.
Okay. So, talking about advice in sort of wrapping up this first episode,
Yep.
talking about retirement, and
Yep.
it is such an important topic. What's your advice out there to our listeners that are thinking about retirement before we go onto our next episode? What's a piece of advice you can leave our listeners with?
I think, just it's, our strap line is it starts with you. So they've got to make an effort and they've got to sit down. I tell all clients of mine, one day a year, they've got to allocate it to their financial well-being. So what I would suggest, my recommendation would be to have one day a year where the husband and wife, or if you're single by yourself, sit down with your financial advisor and work out exactly where you are today and how that's going to look at retirement. You just need to make the time. Like, we're all busy. I haven't got one client that said to me, I've got plenty of time. Everyone's busy. So
it's true.
You just need to make that effort, cross one day off your calendar, go and see your financial advisor, go and see your tax accountant, go and see your estate planning lawyer, and get it sorted out. Because if you get the right advice, if you make the effort, it can make a big difference to you.
It's a very good point. So, and for people out there that don't have a financial advisor, what's your advice on that?
Well, if you haven't got a financial advisor and you're getting no advice, well, I would recommend you go and see someone. Obviously, we'd love to see you ourselves, but go and get advice from somebody. Because if you're currently with an industry fund, ring them up and say, hey, I want to talk to someone, and just say, how am I situated? How are my funds looking? Am I on track? But we do have a 5-minute questionnaire which we can send out to our clients or potential new clients that can fill in, and we can also show them free of charge how they're actually tracking. And then obviously if they do want to go to a plan, that's when we'll then start charging them fees. But they can go to our website. Our website has the 5-minute questionnaire there. They can fill it in, and we can give them the feedback and show them how they're tracking.
Mate, that bit there, and to all of you that are listening to this, and it is a totally brand new series of Talking Numbers Investment Plus, that last bit that Adam just mentioned, can I just urge everybody to do that, whether you've got a financial advisor or not? I know when I did it, and I've started to do it every 12 months now. Now, I didn't do it with Virtual Financial and use Adam, but when you do that 5-minute health check, it is absolutely outstanding to sort of give you an idea to where you currently are and maybe where you maybe be lacking in the future based on your answers. So it's a self-assessment. So it's really important that when you do that, it'll trigger off, and do it with your wife, do it with your husband, do it with your partner, whoever your life partner is. If you're single, that's okay. Do it by yourself. But what you've got the ability to do is to see what that may look like, and then have a chat to someone. I'm just going off by the fact that you're virtual. Doesn't matter where you are in Australia. It's fair to say, Adam, people can talk to you over Zoom. Is that correct?
Exactly. Most of our 9 out of 10 clients we see over Zoom. We have a hybrid kind of model where we can still see clients at the office if needed. And we have offices across Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, and the Gold Coast. But most of our clients just love the idea of jumping on Zoom. I can share documents. I can show them the retirement plan. And it's a nice, quick, easy way to kind of look at their retirement.
Brilliant. And look, that's a great piece of advice to wrap up our first episode of Investment Plus. I think to all you guys, again, rewind it, have a listen to what Adam said with regards to all the different elements of retirement. There's some stuff in there that even personally I wasn't aware of that I'll have to go back and listen to now. So that's a great part about these podcast series. You may be in the car, you can listen to it again, you can go home, you can play this and take some notes down. Jump online, check out Virtual Financial, just do a Google search, it'll pop up. You mentioned it's on the homepage, the 5-minute health check. So even to navigate yourself through those areas, you don't even need to talk to Adam yet. So jump online, have a look at that, see what works for you, and then, reach out to Adam and see if you can have a 10 or 15-minute chat and see if it suits you. That's the great part about helping these sort of educational podcasts to help you to get to where you want to be. So, Adam, thank you very much for joining me today as we launch our new exciting series of Talking Numbers Investment Plus. There's heaps more to come. So in our next episode, let's give everyone a quick little teaser. What's in our next episode?
We're going to talk about self-managed super fund.
Yeah, good. So self-managed super funds as opposed to industry funds or retail funds. And yep. I think you actually covered this before. And we're going to delve into, I think in episode 4, we're going to delve a little bit about that as well. But the stuff that's on the TV, and unfortunately a lot of us do watch TV, and the advertising gets us sucked in. So I think this is the great part about these sorts of things, to get down to the nitty gritty, the actual details, rather than ads that people are trying to sell us. So stay tuned for our next episode. We're talking about self-managed super funds. It's going to be exciting. Adam, thanks for joining us today. To all of you listening, we hope you've enjoyed our first episode, and continue to stay tuned, and we bring you more content, more educational content on Talking Numbers, our Investment Plus series. Thanks, and enjoy the rest of your day.